Taking a look at the power rankings on CBSSports.com by our Matt Snyder. The Yankees remain at number 1, but there has been some change in the top 3. He does have the Astros over the Dodgers for that second spot. The Red Sox dropped to 5, and then further down the list, which we'll talk about in a second, the Giants, who won more than 103 games last season, is falling and trending in the wrong direction. And to help us break down the power rankings on CBSSports.com, we have front office insider Jim Bowden joining us on this holiday. Jim, so when we take a look at the Astros, are you in agreement with Matt that you have Houston ahead of the LA Dodgers for the second best team in the power rankings this week?
Yeah, I do have them as a second best team. I've been really impressed on what we're watching the last few weeks, Tommy. I mean, the starting pitching has just been really good, and overall their pitching staff has gone past the Yankees and now lead the American League in earned run average. I love the top of the rotation. Justin Verlander right now is comeback player of the year. We all saw Framber Valdez just dominate the Angels on Sunday. That was the best power stuff I've seen him have in a couple of years. To have those two guys at the top of the rotation, that's extremely special. But the rotation is 5 deep. Christian Javier's ERA is under 3. Jose Urquidy has pitched really well. Luis Garcia adds and subtracts as good as any. And I love the lineup. I mean, quietly, Yordan Alvarez has become a top 5 MVP candidate. Jose Altuve is doing Jose Altuve things on his way to the Hall of Fame. And you've got the young shortstop, Jeremy Pena, making Astros fans not really miss Carlos Correa. So a lot of things have come together well for the Houston Astros. I think getting Jake Myers back to play center field to finally solve that position was kind of the last piece they were looking for. I love where they are right now, and I don't think there's any doubt they are a real threat right now to not only get back to the World Series, but to win it.
All right, when we take a look at some of the biggest movers cracking the top 10, the Tampa Bay Rays up to 8. It's interesting, Jim, because they're still 4th in the division, but where are you at with Tampa Bay at the moment?
Yeah, I love the pitching, and that's the difference maker, right? Shane McClanahan has been the best left-handed starting pitcher in the sport. There's not a left-handed starter that has better pitch selection than he does. This guy throws 97 to 99. He's got 3+ secondary pitches. He is incredible. They've gotten Shane Baz back off the injured list. He's back. He's another dominating starter as well. Jeffrey Springs has done a really good job, and anytime Kevin Cash is managing Tampa Bay, they got a chance to win. It's all about pitching and defense. I still think they need another bat, but I think the other big story with Tampa Bay has been the emergence of Isaac Paredes. He has been absolutely incredible. The Rays took a lot of grief in the offseason when they traded Meadows to the Tigers to get Paredes. Kevin Cash told me at the time, he said, you watch, this guy is going to be a 25 to 30 home run power bat, and this is a guy that can play all the infield positions. Well, Paredes is living up to that. The Rays are a story, and they certainly are moving up power rankings as Matt has them. He's got it nailed right here.
7 of their next 10 games are against the Red Sox, with the Reds in between. It's interesting because obviously the Reds aren't very good, Jim. The Red Sox are not very good within the division, but they're a biggest mover going the opposite way, down 5 spots to 10. Why have they struggled despite being second in the division behind the Yankees, but specifically that division record at 8-16?
Yeah, look, they just don't have the pitching right now to match up. And I think getting Chris Sale back eventually is kind of that wild card that's going to be important for them. I also think the Red Sox need to continue to trade to get pitching help. I know their front office has touched base with the Reds about Luis Castillo. I know they've touched base also with the Pittsburgh Pirates about their closer, David Bednar. So they've been out there in the trade market. They do have a lot to trade. They have a lot of middle infield depth. They have a lot of first base depth as well. But I don't think the Red Sox, the way they're structured right now, I don't think they're going to be able to finish any higher than 4th place in that division if they don't add more pitching.
So they're still in the top 10. We saw in that graphic there, the New York Mets holding steady at number 4. Reinforcements could be on the way. Max Scherzer returning on Tuesday. We saw Jacob deGrom taking a rehab start in Single-A St. Lucie over the weekend. How do we evaluate the Mets right now in terms of the power rankings?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different than Matt on this particular ranking here. I've got the Braves not only ahead of them, but I've got the Braves as the 3rd best team in the game from what I've watched over the last month. I think at the end of May when they called up Michael Harris II to play center field and they put Spencer Strider in the rotation, that really changed the entire dimension of Atlanta, right? Michael Harris is the best defensive center fielder the Braves have had since Andrew Jones. That allowed them to move Adam Duvall to left field. And all of a sudden, when you look around their diamond, every single defensive player is above average. Every single player in every position. It's elite. Now, you watch Charlie Morton on Sunday dominate. He got off to a slow start, but he's back being Charlie Morton again. Spencer Strider hit 102 miles an hour with his nasty slider over the weekend. The pitching's there. Max Fried has always been one of the best left-handed starters in the game, period. Kyle Wright's having his breakout year for Atlanta as well. And Mike Soroka's on rehab and should be back at some point to help the Atlanta Braves. I like what I've seen from them. I do. It's a deep lineup. They can pitch extremely well. And I think right now, for me, they've gone past the Mets and the Dodgers. I will say this, though, as you mentioned the Mets. Getting Scherzer and DeGrom back's a game changer. And I think that's where it's going to swing. But I think the Mets have to go get another bat if they're going to beat the Braves in the NL East. And I know that Billy Epler, the GM, has had a lot of conversations with the Orioles about Trey Mancini and Anthony Santander. I know he's talked to the Chicago Cubs about Wilson Contreras. So I know their feeling about their offense is the same that I see, which is they're going to have to add another bat if they're going to eventually fend off Atlanta. But don't forget, the key to the Mets is going to be a healthy Scherzer and a healthy DeGrom the rest of the way. If they're healthy, yes, I think they can win this division. Otherwise, right now, what I've seen the last month, Braves are the best team in the National League.
All right, Jim, we got one more before we let you go. We'll end out on the West Coast where the Giants have fallen behind both the Padres and the Dodgers in the standings, still above 500 overall, but 2-8 in their last 10. What's the level of concern that Giants fans should have out in the Bay Area right now?
Well, I never had them as a playoff team this year. You know, I thought maybe 85 wins made sense for that team. You know, I thought losing Buster Posey would be a big deal. I didn't think that Brandon Belt or Brandon Crawford would be able to repeat their careers they had last year. And the other thing is when they get injuries, it really hurts this team because they can't mix and match properly. So when they start losing Luis Gonzalez and they start losing Lamonte, it's really tough to overcome it. It's not a very deep team. And look, I love the top of the rotation. I don't like the back end of the rotation. And I like the Dodgers and Padres significantly better than San Francisco this year. I don't think you're going to see San Francisco in the playoffs come October.
Yeah, it's interesting with Lamont Wade Jr., such a key piece for them last year, and then Yermin Mercedes in and out. To your point, what Gabe Kapler, Farhan Zaidi like to do, they like to mix and match. They haven't been able to do that fully this year. Thanks to Jim Bowden breaking down the power rankings again, which you can catch on CBSSports.com. San Francisco dropping to 16th in the power rankings. Got off to a nice start in April, 14-7, then 13-14 in May, and then 13-13 in June, just sort of trending down towards what we're seeing now, which Matt Snyder has them in the teens at 40-37.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.